Dun-dun-dun. Okay, recording. Got my stuff. Got my phone. Oh, I want my coffee.
Get your coffee.
It's yours, so can I do the little baby clap?
Please do.
Little baby clap. Clap.
Excellent. You're really getting a kick out of that, aren't you?
I don't know why, but the little baby clap just makes me laugh.
Alrighty.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to Editing Academy. I'm Daryl.
I'm Laura.
And Laura, we are here to talk about your number 11. I do have the stuff whenever you're ready, but what are you talking about?
We are talking about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which is my number 11 favorite movie.
So we've now gone through, once we're done with this one, we have done half of our top 20.
Yes, and we'll be starting in on the top 10 soon.
Yes.
Right.
All right, so Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid, directed by George Roy Hill, written by William Goldman, stars Paul Newman, Robert Redford, and Catherine Ross. There's a couple other people in there, but it's really these three.
Absolutely.
Was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Story and Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Original Score for Motion Picture, Best Song, and Best Sound. And it won for Song, which was Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, Original Score by Burt Bacharach, Cinematography, and Screenplay. It did not win Best Picture or Director. And we'll acknowledge this was the very first year we started this, 1969. This was one of the ones that we did a pretty good conversation about at that time.
Exactly, and I'm going to actually give a little bit of a spoiler. We would love for you to go back and listen to our 1969 podcast, which is the first time that we did this, and we actually agreed that that should have won Best Picture this year. So
because the one that won was Midnight Cowboy.
Exactly.
Which was a horrible movie.
Which we did not care for at all. So, all right, so let me talk to you about Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid and my relationship with this movie. So one of the things that we've talked about is this podcast, which talks about our favorite movies and what we consider to be our top 20 list, are often very different, especially for me. It's often, do I have an emotional response to this movie? Do I have a family tie to this movie? Many of the movies in my list I know are not often great movies. So this one breaks the mold a bit because I don't have a real emotional connection to this movie, and it is a great movie. It is, as we said, we think it should have won the Best Picture in 1970. So it breaks the mold a little bit for me, and in a couple of ways. The first one is the genre.
Yeah.
I just love a good Western. I love a good buddy movie. So like when you put the two of those things together, I really enjoy that. And then the second piece is, this is just a well-crafted movie from start to finish, from the opening scene to the iconic closing moments, where if you say the end of Butch and Sundance, everybody knows what that means.
Yeah.
I think from literally opening to the closing, all the ways in between, this is a beautifully done movie, and it's one of those things that if it's on TV, like my attention goes from whatever I'm doing to the TV. And I think in these days, that doesn't happen very often. I'm always second screening it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, there are a lot of times where something is on and I will be doing something else. I will admit for some of the movies that we watched, do like 15 minutes in, I'm like, I'm going to do some side work. But no, this one is one that does demand your attention from the beginning and holds it. A lot of films will demand your attention from the beginning, but they can't sustain it and hold it. This one absolutely does. It is a ride, but it is a well-crafted ride. There are intense moments. There are absolutely hysterical moments.
Yep.
There are emotional moments, tender moments. Like it hits all of the different emotions that a human can have, and all in kind of the correct order for this film to actually work.
And it earns each of those moments too, because there are definitely some where, and I've talked about it, there are some like, yeah, that movie made me cry. It pissed me off that it made me cry. I'm an easy crier, but there are some where it really earns every emotional note, and this is one of them.
Yep.
And I've got it kind of just broken down for conversation's sake into a couple of different sections, but the first one is performances.
Okay.
So starting at the top with, I would posit that this movie could not have starred any other two individuals than Robert Redford and Paul Newman, and it couldn't have starred them in the other parts either.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well.
They had to play who they were. They
Yep.
were absolutely perfect. It was it was just a joy to watch them flesh out these two characters who you didn't know a ton about them. That's the best part, is you had very little background on either of these characters. You only know what they show you, what they bring to the screen, and I think you know everything you need to know about them within the first 20 minutes of the movie. You've got Butch Cassidy, and he's looking at the vaults, and it's this beautiful, like, you know, kind of dusty black and white scenery, kind of going into the bank vault and all of that, and you just see him watch it all, and you see his face and the statement that he makes as he leaves. You kind of know a little bit about him, and then I think Robert Redford at the poker game.
Yeah.
You know everything you need to know. You know that this guy is not to be trifled with, that he has a reputation, and that he's fair, you know, he actually enjoys fair play. You know, he's not going to take somebody on because, just because. He's going to make sure they know his reputation, and that they know he can kill them, and he will kill them. But he's not going to unless they give him a reason to. And within 20 minutes, you know everything you need to know about both of those men.
You know everything you need to know about both of those men, but you also get to understand their relationship pretty quickly.
Yes.
Because he can talk him down.
Yes.
And he actually they actively listen to each other. They do have a respect for each other. They may disagree with each other, but they do respect each other enough to listen. What is interesting to me is they have such great chemistry here. Years later, they did The Sting. Chemistry did not exist. It's these two people in these two roles at this particular moment in this particular film, and it's beautiful.
I agree completely, and I think it's because it's the original buddy movie. It really kind of is. The Sting, we found out, was actually written for two different actors, and I think that's part of the reason it failed, because it didn't play to these two men and their strengths. And although there were, you know, kind of some other actors who were thought of for these roles, it pretty quickly moved into these two guys. And then talking about their relationship together is, you know, Hole in the Wall gang, when you find out so much of, okay, so Paul Newman, clearly the leader of the Hole in the Wall gang, but basically he goes over to Robert Redford, and, you know, he knows Robert Redford has his back, and that he will kill for him if
1, 2,
need
3,
be.
go!
Exactly, and that they're quick, they're clever, it's funny. I was betting for you. I knew you were. You know, it sustained me in my hour of need. Butch Cassidy is hilarious. So the performance is there, and then I'm going to get into just really quickly the minor casting that they did. Every person was phenomenal and funny, and one of my favorite bit roles was Cloris Leachman playing one of the prostitutes in one of the places that they're at, and she is just hysterical. I don't know that she had any lines, but she is just very funny in the way that she's kind of crawling over Butch. Catherine Ross didn't have a lot to do in this movie. It is a movie about two guys, and yet their relationship each had an individual relationship with her that I thought that worked out really well, and their relationship with each other about her I really loved. We had an interesting conversation too about the fact that I think at the point when Catherine Ross left them, you were really pissed off about that.
Yes.
And I loved that part, because to me, the way I read that part is she had said up front, I'm not going to watch you die.
Right.
And so basically at the end of, they know that people are closing in on them, the posse is on its way, and she said, I think it's time to leave now, and both of them say, yeah, I think so, you should leave. I think you read that as them throwing her out or just letting her leave after all that she meant to them. I saw it as, we are going to honor your wish because the end is coming, and we're going to let you go before you have to see us die.
And I think your interpretation is the correct one. And in retrospect, I think when you see it the first time, it is vastly open. When you see it again and see how that has been built up, and you see what she has gone through and the individual relations that she does have with both of them, that is the correct and logical way and thing for her to do. It makes perfect sense for the film. It makes perfect sense for her character. It also makes sense for the two of them because of their own camaraderie, that they're going to let her go. Mm-hmm. Neither of them is going to say, well, I'm going to stay with you. That's just not in their nature. So it all makes perfect sense, and your interpretation is 100% correct. But that if you forget any of that, it does feel
startling.
like they're just been like, all right, then fine, get out of here.
Yeah, they're kind of tossing her away. But And then the last thing, before I'm gonna turn it over to you, is just the cinematography, because it has big moments. Like, it is them, going through the wilderness and the wilds in the west, and the posse is miles and miles away, and you can see just a little bit of dust, and it's a giant expansive shot. And then you have the moment that you are seeing nothing but Robert Redford's face in the poker game, and it's tight and it's small and it's also enormous. And so to be able to go back and forth, to be able to pace something so, so not even frenetically, but quickly and solidly all the way through, I think it's amazing.
The posse chasing them scenes in particular, and the way they go back and forth, big grand scope, and then focus on the two of them, big grand scope, focus on the two of them.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a lot with other movies, how you can have big moments, but you also have to have the small intimate moments, and they were able to handle that beautifully throughout. But also those big moments, they knew how to kind of sit in it for a second to let that tension build while they're just sitting there flabbergasted that they're still able to follow them.
Yes.
So it's both comedic but also heightening the tension, which is very
Absolutely.
difficult to do, but this film is able to do it brilliantly.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about this is just so incredibly well handled. I can't remember if I even gave a flaw of this. I probably did, because me. But it's very hard to find flaws in this particular movie because of how well crafted everything is, and they know how to give you something, take something away, give you something, and you are being emotionally manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
It's with intent and design, though. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to make.
But they're giving you the lift to be able to do that.
Correct.
Too. Yeah.
But that's kind of my point, is that they know how to ride and craft and manipulate your emotions for the benefit of your experience of watching the film. It's not they, like you said, they earn every moment of it, but that is another layer that the film has, is it knows how to work with your emotions as you're following these people through, which so many films get wrong. They're like they either hit you over the head or they don't give you enough. This one knows how to perfectly just maneuver your emotions all the way through.
Yep, exactly. I think just the one last comment is also about it's about these two men, but it's also so much more this larger theme of the times changing around you, and can you change to keep up with them? And it's the technology of trains has changed, the technology of safes and posses being different, and it shows these guys sitting in a movie theater, moving on trains and going to Bolivia, and all of these things, and they have not changed. They are exactly who they were and who they are, and are trying to get by in the world in the way they always have, and the world has changed too much for them to do what they used to do. So I love that. And then at the end, I think that ties it with a bow too, is, you have your Bonnie and Clyde ending where they are just shot to pieces in front of you. And then this ending, the way it ends with them coming out and you hear the shots, but you don't see them dying, it's almost like this is a legend. We're putting a fairy tale stamp on this and on this moment and on these people. We don't want you to see it end.
I think a lot of people have a lot of theories. Was it the right choice? Was it the wrong choice? Why would they do it that way? And that is one that I had heard before, but I think is probably, number one, the most romantic, but also I think the best for the film itself. Yes, you don't want to see them die. You don't want a close-up of them dead and all bloody. That would destroy the entire experience of the film. You do want to have, because in the back of your head, even if it's only like 0.001%, you're like, maybe they escaped. You know they didn't. They were completely cut down in a hail of bullets, but maybe they escaped. And just that possibility gives you more overall to the film.
And I think you're right. I think it is the romantic ending, and it is a romantic film. And Butch Cassidy is a romantic character, even more so. I think Sundance is the pragmatist, and Butch is the romantic. And so I really like the way that it ended. And for me, it is just, I love it when it's on. It's a throw it on a Sunday afternoon, sitting on the couch and just watch it and let it wash over you. And two actors at the top of their game who could, again, like, I never want to see a remake of this. I cannot imagine anybody else doing these parts.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
A lot of your top 10 are comfort movies.
Yes.
And I would imagine that in a way this is a comfort movie, but
Mm-hmm.
not like your typical comfort movie.
Yeah, it doesn't have the best ending. So for a comfort movie, it really ends badly. So yes, but the reason it's comfortable is because, again, I find humor to be comfortable. I find great performances and just, like interesting storylines, and I always find something new every time I'm watching it. So for me, that's comfortable.
It's more the familiarity of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep,
And
the
that's
familiarity, and I love these characters. I am so character driven, and I love these men, and I love, kind of like the way they work together and who they are apart.
makes total sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Good choice, by the way.
Thank you very much. You like this movie too.
I do. It's
Mhm.
not in my top 20, but definitely this is a fun
Yeah.
movie.
So with the end of this movie, we are now going to be moving into our top 10 movie choices,
Which
which
is
are
locked.
the big ones, which are locked.
Yes,
Exactly.
I told you my top 10 were locked, and then I made a change, and now it's locked again.
Did you make a change?
Yeah, I just swapped 1 and 2.
Okay, just so you guys know, the bottom 10 from 20 to 11, I keep getting texts from Daryl. Yeah, it's not this one, it's this one. Don't watch that one yet. I've changed it to this one. How many of my top 20 have I changed?
You haven't changed a thing.
There you go.
Not a single thing.
Exactly. Might mean that I'm, inflexible, but whatever. Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.